Are you a beginner or you've been in the sewing business for a long time but you're still struggling to draft out your bustier very well? Worry no more because in this channel we're going to show you the methods, tricks, and ways to achieve a well drafted bustier. Welcome to class. Before drafting out your pattern, you will need your measurements, which I will list on the screen. After collecting my measurement, I went ahead to marking my half length. After marking my half length, I marked out my underbust and then my bust point, and I drew a line connecting the dots together. After drawing out my lines, I went ahead to label them, stating my underbust, the half length, and the bust point. When that was completed, I proceeded to mark out my neckline. My neckline here was 3 inches and my shoulder measurement, which was 8 inches, was marked as well. When that was completed, I marked out my bust span measurements. The bust span I worked with was 8 inches and unfold was 4 inches. I marked it on the bust point, the underbust, the half length down to the full length of the blouse. After that, I drew a straight line connecting these points. On the chest line, which was the armhole depth line, I marked out my bust measurement, quarter of it, and I also did the same thing on my waistline. After marking that, I divided my armhole depth into 2 and came in by half of an inch. Using my pattern ruler, I connected the points together in order for me to achieve my armhole curve. In order for me to tighten my underbust, I went in by the side front by 1.5. You can go in by 1.75 or 1 inch, but this depends on the bust size. I'll put the variation on the screen. Then towards the center front, I marked 1 inch and I curved out my lines. After connecting my underbust line to the bust point, I marked out the value I had on the underbust, then transferred it to my hip line measurement. As you see me do, when marking it, always ensure that the lines are accurate. You can play around your dart intake around the hip line, but in this particular tutorial, the amount that I got from my underbust, I extended that same amount down to the hip line and drew a straight line connecting these lines together. After connecting my lines, I went ahead to mark my overbust measurement. At this point, I was showing you different ways to achieve this. You can either take this measurement from the underbust to the upper chest, which is the overbust line, or from the shoulder to the overbust line where the client wants their yoke to sit. So for this particular tutorial, the overbust was 7 inches. I divided my shoulder measurement by 2 and connected the line to meet the bust point. When that was done, I did my dart intake on the overbust measurement. I used a dart of 3/4 of an inch, that's 0.75 on both sides, then connected it down to my bust point, creating a dart in that area. Making a dart on the overbust area is essential. It's so important because if you don't take the right amount of dart, the upper bust area won't sit firm on your client's body. It will have a bit of gape or it will not relax. So it is very important to take the right amount of dart. Notice I used my curve ruler to smoothen the sharp region on the bust part. We don't need the bust area to be pointed, so you need to curve it. At this moment, one of the dart leg will be transferred to the armhole area, while the other will be divided into 2 and shared around the shoulder measurement. This is to prevent the yoke from gaping or having excesses. So I took one of the 3/4 of an inch and divided it by 2. After dividing it, After dividing it by 2, I will share it on the yoke area as you see me do. After sharing it equally, I connected it to the shoulder measurement. Then I went further to transfer the other 0.75 dart to the armhole area. After completing that, on the chest line, the amount you have on the dart area should be measured appropriately and transferred to the chest line area. The same procedure should be applied on the waistline. On the waistline, I had 2.5, which was transferred down to the waist measurement. If you want to lace the back of your dress or blouse, now is the right time to reduce your waist measurement. You can either reduce your waist measurement by 2 inches, 1 inch, or 3 inches, but it is advisable not to reduce it more than 3 inches. On the hip line, I went in by quarter of my hip measurement and marked it, then connected the lines together. To give the blouse a curvy side, I went up by 2 inches and connected it to my dart leg. If you have seen the video up to this moment, kindly subscribe, like and comment. Thank you. Over here, I marked out my neck depth. The neck depth I used was 9 inches. I marked it out. When that was done, I used my ruler to carve out the shape I preferred. In this tutorial, I did a sweetheart neck. You can either make it a U neck, a V neck, whatever neckline you prefer. At this point, I wanted my neckline to be a bit wider, so I went in by 4 inches and came down by 4 inches. After drawing out the neckline that I wanted, remember your front half length is different from your back half length. The front half length is always longer than the back half length because of the way the body is structured. In this particular tutorial, the difference between the front and the back half length is 1.5 inch. 1.5 inch. So I divided that by 2 and splitted it on the bust point measurement, creating a dart. This is called the bust dart. This is called the bust dart. So after dividing the measurements into 2 equal parts, I placed it on the bust point line and then I drew out the dart line. Remember the 0.75 that I transferred towards the armhole? I had to recreate a new armhole from that 0.75, as you see me do. Whenever you're done with your pattern drafting, ensure you label accurately. Labeling helps a whole lot. Just label everything appropriately and put the right marks on each pattern. So this is how a bustier is supposed to look like, the basic one. So if you want to do other styles, you want to style it differently, your dart leg, you want to connect it differently, you can go ahead and play with it. That's why it's always nice to draft out patterns. You see what you're doing, ideas pop, you just change the structure, whichever way you prefer. So there's an extra tip. With this pattern, you can actually draft out your cup corset. Yes, this time it's not a dartless cup corset, but a cup corset that has dart. You can do that. In this video, I will show you how to achieve it. First, on the bust point, I marked in 1/2 inch from the center point and connected a 1/2 inch to the under bust. If you think the bust point measurement is going to reveal your cleavage too much, you can go up by 2 inches or 1 inch, as you see me do. Then extend the line down to the center front, which is the half inch that we took on the bust point. You extend it down to the preferred length that you want and mark it. Then connect your neckline back to the half inch. From the under bust, you connect it down to the bust point. In order to have an accurate measurement, mark in 1 inch from the under bust line, as you see me do, just to ensure that your cup will be big enough to accommodate your boobs. Your cup will be big enough to accommodate your bust. So that was what I was trying to achieve at this moment. Then on the side front, you come in by 1.5 inch on the chest line area. You come in by 1.5 inch, then connect that line down to the under bust again, as you see me do. But when you want to do this, ensure you use a broken line or dotted lines to connect it, because after closing up your bust dart, you realize that the lines will no longer tally, it will shift. So just use a broken line. I actually made a mistake. I should have used a broken line there. But when you want to draft yours, just use a broken line. Okay? After drawing up the cup line, I proceeded to cut out the pattern. If you noticed, after closing up the bust line, the lines were no longer aligning properly. So I went further to remark it in order to have that proper shape of the cup. So that's it. When you're done cutting out the pattern, ensure you close up the shoulder dart as well. I always like to put all my patterns together using a masking tape. It enables me to envision how the pattern will look like or how the clothes will look like after sewing it. You know you don't know how to pad professionally. You know there are ways to pad your bustier. Even after drafting out a good bustier, if you don't pad it well, you still won't get a good result. A step-by-step tutorial on how to pad your bustier professionally is already in my YouTube page. Now, this is the end of today's tutorial. I hope you're able to learn one or two from the tricks, the tips, and the technique that I use in drafting this particular bustier. If at this point you've not liked, comment, subscribe to this channel, kindly do so. Thanks so much for watching. See you in another video. Bye.